Welcome back to more Summoners War Monster Strategies. Today we're going to be looking at the Light Salamander known as Sharman. So Sharman actually is a pretty interesting monster, and he's not terrible. Actually, he's pretty good. So I shouldn't have started by saying he's not terrible because, you know, the wind and the water are pretty terrible. The fire one is decent, and then this one and the dark are actually pretty good in certain situations, so some people do keep them. So let's talk about Sharman here and his level 46 star stats just to see how good he can be. So his HP is 8,400, attack is 505, defense is 582, and speed is 99. As you can see, the HP is actually, I believe it's the best HP out of the 5 salamanders, so that's something to note. The attack stat is fairly low though, I believe it's the second lowest from the 5. And the defense, it's oh god, it's actually, I mean, I'm looking at the 5 stats, you know, comparing them, it's actually the worst, tied with Lucan. But whatever, you know, most HP, worst defense, so it does balance out in the end. It does. So now let's go ahead and talk about the actual skills. So the first skill is, Holy Shot. Attacks the enemy and decreases their attack power for 2 turns with a 50% chance. Note about this is that it can actually improve to 100% initial chance by skill ups. Second one is Stomp. Deals damage to the enemy and decreases the target's attack speed for 2 turns. This attack will deal more damage according to your defense. Okay? And the third one, Holy Armor, it's a passive. Gains immunity against freeze and stun effects and increases the recovery amount you receive by 100%. This skill right here is what makes Sharman pretty interesting, his passive. So, first of all, it's noteworthy that he is immune to 2 out of the 3 inability effects in the game. Inability effects are pretty ridiculous, you know, in the end game. They're very annoying, they are very strategic. This guy is immune to those 2, to the 2 most common ones. So that's something very, very important to note. Also, he can be a pretty good tank because the recovery amount is basically, you know, I mean, look at that. It's improved by 100%, so twice as much. Now, his best use actually does come in the raid. Now, some people do say that, you know, because he can cause the oblivious status, that he's not too useful, you know, Sharman, because the boss does do that. But in other situations, people say that he actually does have good use. He does, despite that move. You know, there are, of course, ways to eventually get around it, but he's good, and honestly, that's what people use him the most, as a frontline monster. Let's talk about the Rune Recommendations. So, what I was able to see is that there's actually, well, there's a big debate about this guy. There really is as to how to rune him. First of all, when it comes to runes, people debate among Revenge, Energy, and Guard sets. Now, of course, more Revenge will get him to debuff the enemy's attack stat for 2 turns every single time, or usually every single time, I mean 100% initial chance. So, basically an improved chance to be able to debuff the attack, which is good. More Guard is good for raids because it's more defense, and more energy in general. Energy is better than defense, you know, HP versus defense, because of reasons that I've said in the past videos, a lot of reasons. But for this guy, because he's going to be in the raid, it's important to try and mix in some defense with HP. As far as the runes go, well, I mean, once again, defense or HP for slots 2, 4, and 6. So, people would say to generally give him a lot more defense than HP because he must be in the front. Because of that, he doesn't need ridiculous speed. He's more so a tank. First of all, he's immune to the stun, and you know, the stun that is very annoying in raids. And second of all, he's actually able to improve the healing he gets by double the amount. So, being a tank in the front with high defense, he can really help out his team by just being there, you know, reducing the damage team members get, and he will be healed a lot every single time. That's awesome. On top of that, giving him more defense will actually improve the power of his second skill, so that's a plus, you know, more defense improves that. And he can lower attack speed and attack. That's pretty interesting. He is a pretty interesting monster. Some people do utilize him really well in the raid, and like I said, that is his main goal. Be in the front, give him more defense than HP. You might want to mix the two, or just give him a hell of a lot more defense. I don't know, whatever you want. And you'll see. His second attack will deal some pretty good damage, you know, with a lot of defense. He will be immune to the stun, that's annoying, and he will get healed a lot. So he can really tank out some damage, he really can. So I would recommend keeping this guy or using him if you were to want to, you know, use a frontline tank. I mean, there are many tanks in the game though, it's not just this guy, so He's not mandatory to be successful, but it really depends because he has use, he has good use. So, that is my overall review of this monster. If you have any recommendations, go ahead and leave a comment. I am sure that people would appreciate seeing those comments. Thank you for watching, and goodbye everybody, and until next time.